welcome to the call. Really excited to have you guys all on the call this evening. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to come through because the numbers are still going up, but we're already on 35, which is brilliant. So while you're waiting, can you please make sure you've got the chat box up? You can get the chat box up by just hovering over the bottom of your screen, or sometimes it's the top, depending if you're using an iPad or a laptop, and pressing on that icon, which is the speech bubble, which says chat, and please open that up and introduce yourselves in the chat box. So I'd love to hear who you are, where you're from, why you've signed up to be a Labour Legend.
Judy's already in there. Hi, Judy.
Hey, Judy. Thanks for signing up. Why you've signed up to be a Labour Legend. It would be great to know what sort of legend you think you're going to be. So we'll be talking that. We'll be talking about a bit about all the different types of being a Labour Legend, different types of placement. But you should already have heard that there's online legends, road trip legends, and local legends, like the three main types. So please do, tell us what you're thinking, where you want to, what sort of placement you want, where you like to go campaigning, what you're looking forward to about being a Labour Legend, why you signed up, basically whatever you like. Give us a bit of information because it's always nice for us to get to know a bit about you. Amazing. We've got
hi, Lookman, you're over in South Woodford. That's really, you're just on the border with Pfizer as well. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Lee from Eastbourne.
Brilliant.
Best of luck with the PhD.
Amazing. Looking at Green New Deal stuff. Oh, it's so exciting.
We'd love to hear it.
It's so exciting. Brilliant. So I think I reckon another couple of minutes. Let's get a few more people to say hi before we get started. We can start we can start at about we'll give everyone like another 1 or 2 minutes to arrive. It's really exciting to have loads of you on the call tonight. What's really cool about this call is that this is like not just, this is not like a strategy call where we're giving you some information. This is about us actually asking you to do something really huge. So if all 42 of you on this call are literally in the process of booking one week off work, of rearranging your plans for a week so you can dedicate that week full-time to campaigning, that is so many days of campaigning. Like, there's so many more doors that are going to get knocked. There's so many more voters who were feeling a bit apathetic, who are going to change their mind and decide to vote Labour, or who maybe weren't going to bother to go out and vote on polling day, but who will now get down on the 12th. So like the impact that a number of Labour Legends can have is really incredible. Amazing. We've got Kevin from Truro and Falmouth. That's brilliant. As one of our really important constituencies that we're targeting. So great news. Alex from Hackney.
Hey.
Tony from
Kevin from Truro. Solihull. Yeah.
I've got the worst knowing how to
Kevin also from Truro.
Yeah, amazing. Really good stuff. Okay, cool.
Did we do Kevin before?
I already did Kevin. Sorry. That's fine.
I thought there were two from Truro.
Yeah.
Janie from Brighton.
Woo.
Anthony from Nottingham.
Amazing. Brilliant. It's always nice to have like a good range of people from different places. Great. One last time, because since we started the call, we're now up to 45. Open up the chat box. You can do that by pressing the icon which says chat, and we'll post links and things like that through the call. So it's really great if you can get it up, and that's where you can also post questions and a bit like that. Were you in the TWT anti-racist session, Sasha?
Yes, that is me.
Well recognised. Really well recognised.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Brilliant community we've got going on here. TWT attendees, Labour Legends. Amazing.
Right. What movement's about?
I'm Chloe. I am involved in coordinating the Labour Legends programme, but with a few, quite a few other people now, because it's been so successful that at the beginning it was a third of my job and one other person's whole job to run it. But we've had so many thousands of people sign up, and we've placed so many hundreds of people that we're now I've got a massive team on it, which is great news. So I'm Chloe. I'm one of the people who works on it at Momentum, and
I'm Sasha. I up until Monday was the regional organiser for London for Momentum.
Sasha's volunteering.
I'm volunteering.
Yeah.
Not quite a Labour legend. Let's hope that I can reach legendary status at some
She's
point.
working on it. She's working on it. Yeah, you'll maybe get there. I'm not totally sure. So yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to start off by saying like a massive thank you for signing up. Some of the work I've been doing at Labour, we've actually managed to utilise some Labour legends, which has expanded the capacity of what we can do massively. So I am now no longer like handling a load of queries, which means that I can start to plan huge phone bank parties. I'll give you a quick example of, we got a Labour legend in, she started today, she's already, by taking up some tasks, already allowed me to plan 2 phone bank and watch parties, which we're then going to use to mobilise people to take the day off. And also hopefully those phone bank parties, if you can imagine, now I can organise a virtual phone bank. If we can get 50 people who can all get 10 people in their living room to host a phone bank party, we've got the capacity in one evening to call thousands of voters. We're already getting through so much data. We're already smashing targets, but we just need that last push, and Labour Legends is really going to help us facilitate that. I mean, we're at a crucial point. You all saw the manifesto yesterday. It was absolutely inspiring, and you know, I don't need to tell you that there's never been a clearer difference between the barbaric Thatcherism 2.0 and the politics of hope that manifesto Jeremy Corbyn's offering. So it's so vital, the work you're all doing, and I'm honestly, nearly every day, it might just be the lack of sleep brought to tears by the amount of enthusiasm that people have. It's so moving. And yeah, it makes me have so much faith in humanity on a daily basis. So thank you.
It's really, really true. Like, we are up against such a huge fight. Like, the consequences of this election are going to be huge. Like, can you imagine like the difference between 5 more years of Tory rule under Boris Johnson and having like a transformative government under Corbyn? And like, for me this week, like that, all that kind of like hopefulness is just really started to feel like it's really getting concrete. Like, I was just watching the beginning of like the Question Time special tonight, and like Jeremy was just literally amazing, and I just feel like the manifesto launch was so brilliant. So like, you know, we're halfway through now. Like, the next few weeks are literally going to be like the most important of our life, but it's starting to just look so good. And getting like working on the Labour Legends programme has been one of the most exciting things like I've ever done, because we're speaking to people like you who are like, yeah, I will take a week off work to campaign full time. I will drop everything I'm doing and travel from Northern Ireland to Glasgow so I can campaign in a marginal there. Like, people are stepping up so much, and it's just literally, it's going to make such a big difference. And potentially what's even more moving is speaking to some of the regional Sasha's trying to distract me by pointing at.
I saw Charles from Zurich, who said he wants to take time off to come back to London and campaign in the election. And honestly, like, very nearly, you're going to ruin my mascara for my day. Jesus. It's so moving.
Yeah, it is literally amazing. And speaking to regional organisers, like, I'm from Brighton, living in London at the moment, and there's lots and lots and lots of activists here, and there's like really good movement on the ground in lots of seats. But like, there are some seats where having an extra 1 or 2 or 3 or like 5 or maybe 10, because we are placing quite a lot of people, extra pairs of hands there who are going to be reliable, who are going to be consistent, who are going to be there every single day for that final week, or maybe next week, to help them start getting prepared. Like, it's just going to make such a big difference. So it is like such an important program, and it's literally just like, thank you so much for either if you sign up already, or if you're interested in signing up, because it is literally just going to make such a big difference. Talking of which, I'm interested to know, a lot of you on this call will have filled in the form and signed up. If you haven't, like, make sure you do. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, but if you haven't signed up already, I'm just going to send out the link in the chat box now. So this is like the main initial sign up form, which you need to sign up to tell us that you're interested in the program. So yeah, absolutely amazing.
Hit that sign up.
Do it, exactly.
I just saw someone, I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm like
fine,
totally going off script. He's going to kill me.
I don't mind. No, I'm relaxed. I'm relaxed.
But I just saw someone who said they can't get time off work, but that's absolutely fine. Whatever you can do getting to your nearest marginals, if there's anything you can do from home, and we'll talk a bit more about what kind of legend you can be in a second.
Yeah, brilliant. So just before we go any further, I'm just going to quickly run through what we're going to cover in the rest of the call. So we just talked a little bit about why it's so important. We're going to talk a little bit more about what it actually means, like about what the sort of different placements are, what you can expect from us if you're a Labour legend. We're also going to be hearing briefly from a couple of Labour legends who've already been placed, who are going to be calling in from their placements. So that will be really exciting. And touch wood, we're going to be joined by John McDonnell at around 8:30, fingers crossed. So yeah, amazing. Sasha, I was wondering if you could maybe just explain a little bit about the different types of legend placement that we have in our program.
Absolutely. So there are 3 kinds of I'm going to do it this way because I want to show off my nails. Just got them from a date. 3 kinds of legends. You could be an online legend, which is mostly using dialogue to call marginals. You'll be added to a Slack space. There's coordinating and moderating that Slack. Coordinating volunteers is such a huge task for us because you can imagine how inundated we've been with people wanting to commit their time. So to be able to help us do that work is so, so important. There's local legends, which is if you're living in a key marginal or you're travelling each day to a marginal. I live in Newham, it's a safe seat, but I've got like 3 marginals right on my doorstep. So being able to commit your time to going to those marginals, depending on how many days you can commit. If possible, we'll link you up with local organisers, but you might also be able to use my campaign map and head down as soon as you can, basically. And then there's a road trip legend. Road trip legends will travel potentially quite long distances. It might be an hour and a half, or it might be like the other side of the country, and we'll pair you up with the local organiser there, and you'll stay overnight, stay a week, something like that. There'll be loads of work for you to do, but that's basically the 3 kinds of legends you can be.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So basically Sasha talked you through like the main 3 types of legends, which is really important. I'm going to just tell you a little bit more information about the process that you'll actually go through and what you can expect if you are one of those legends. So the first thing that you'll need to do is fill out the form, which I can send again through the chat box now.
Do you want me to do that while you're talking?
Well, actually, Barney, who's on tech, is going to do it. I'm just so used to sending out links on Zoom now.
Absolutely,
but yeah, you're right. I will let Barney do that. So the main legend sign-up form is coming out on Sasha's account, but it's Barney, who's our wonderful, also a Labour legend, wonderful Labour legend on tech. So amazing. So basically filled in the initial form. Hopefully, if it's all working correctly, you then got an automated email which had a bit of information about the main type of placement that you went for. So if you mostly know that you need to work from home, maybe you have caring responsibilities, maybe it's just some other reason why working from home works better for you, then we almost definitely want to place you as an online legend. And that's really useful because there's so much stuff that you can do online with dialogue and also with our online teams. And basically, we can't get every single activist into one of our priority marginal constituencies, but we can get hundreds and thousands of activists calling into them. So online, actually, you can do so much in this election online. And if you have signed up as an online legend, you get that initial email which gives you a bit of an overview, but then you'll also be hearing from our online teams, and they'll be finding roles for you, inviting you into our Slack channel where you can communicate with them. So we'll be in touch basically if you're an online legend. So look out for emails because you'll be hearing from us. If you are down as a local legend, then you will have been sent quite a long and detailed email which has quite a lot of information in it. I really recommend reading it through carefully because basically, because so many people have applied, what we realise is that if somebody actually is going to stay in their own home, and they're probably going to know which marginal, they can use my campaign map, which marginal that they can reach, that's easiest for them to get to, because maybe it's that they drive, maybe it's that they prefer to get the train or a bus. So you know which marginal it's going to suit you best to get to if you're staying in your own home. So we asked you to go on my campaign map to find your target marginal nearby which really needs you, and think, look, which of these marginals could I really commit to going down to? Like somebody said, hey, I could go down 5 times a week. Fantastic. Go down to regularly. Like go down, first of all, just go down like this weekend, like introduce yourself to local organisers, say like, hi, like I'm from this area and this is my availability. I can come in every day and campaign, etc., etc. So make sure that you do that, that you introduce yourself, you make that contact, you tell them that you're going to be able to volunteer regularly, because if they know that, they'll almost definitely say, that's brilliant, can you help come into the office tomorrow and help us do this and help us do this, because there's so many different things you can do. So yeah, so basically check that email, it's got quite a lot of useful information in it. Also, really, really important thing if you're saying you're actually for either of the canvassing placements is that we do loads of trainings. Like we've actually recorded quite a lot of them, but we'll be doing more. So it's conversations training, how to run a board training. These things are really, really important. Like really everyone on this call, if you're going to be able to canvass at all, we need you to go canvassing. But it's really important to be as effective as you can be on the doorstep. And like I'm quite an experienced canvasser because I campaigned loads in 2017 and also like even more so in like local elections in 2018 and different bits and pieces then. But like I recently went to one of the social conversations trainings and they're really, really good. Like so if you're really new and you're a bit nervous or if you already feel quite confident, doesn't matter. Like I really recommend watching one of those trainings online because it just gives you those really useful tips basically for if anything tricky comes up. And then also how to run a board training, really important. Like if you're somebody who's going to be able to regularly go down and canvass, like you ideally want like a 1:6 ratio of canvassers, board runners to canvassers, and so many constituencies are telling us that we don't have enough board runners. So as Labour Legends, as our most committed activists, like if you can step up and train yourself as a board runner, then like that's going to really, really, really make a big difference to everybody else's canvassing experiences. So yeah, there's some useful information there. So as a local legend, get started. However, there is also, if you want to be more formally linked up with a marginal, if you're like, no, I really, really, really want to help a lot, and you want us to like, put in a WhatsApp group with local organisers, we can do that. There's a placement form, which I sent out once, but we'll keep coming out from our wonderful Barney on Tech. There's a placement form and fill that in, and then we will give you a phone call and we will make sure that we place you sort of like more formally. And finally, the road trip legends, these are the ones where we're gonna ask you to fill in that placement form. If you're traveling to a new area, we're definitely going to give you like a more formal placement so that we can make sure that you really are linked up with the people you need to be linked up with. They can help you find accommodation. They might be able to give you some suggestions for all sorts of different local things. Tell you a bit about the area you're going to be traveling into. So if you are able to do a road trip placement, which is like incredible, that's like the biggest ask of the whole election. The biggest thing you can do is like take a week off work, travel to an area that desperately needs you. Sorry, I've just seen a comment about the line not being great, so I will talk more slowly. I do talk far too quickly. It's because I worry about talking for too long, so I just
cram it all in, take the same
information. Yeah, the placement form is really, really, really important, particularly whether you're local or you're road trip. If you can commit to like at least 7 days of full-time campaigning, potentially 5, if you're going to be really committed and you're happy to go back to the same place and be that like really reliable pair of hands, please fill in that form, and it will really make a difference. Basically, those people who fill in the form will be getting a phone call from us and we'll be really linking them up with a local organizer. But it's only really worth us doing that if you are like, no, I'm really serious. I'm happy to travel, and I'm happy to be like really, really, really committed and go for like a decent period of time and campaign full time for that period. So if that's you and you're on this call and you're hearing that, please fill in that form as soon as possible. We're running 2 big phone banks with staff and people from the World Transformed and other sort of like other activists this weekend, where we're going to be calling you up to place you. So just can't stress enough, please fill in that form. Also, loads of you are posting really great questions, and just to say we are going to answer them a bit later in the call. So yeah, amazing. Sakina's on. But is that what you were getting like smiley and my text distracting about? Amazing. Yeah. Have we managed to unmute Sakina yet? So I have a little bit of time to do an introduction, which is good. Which is Sakina is a Labour legend from London who is already, I think, has already arrived at her placement. We have a few Labour legends on the call who are road trip legends who've already been placed and who are going to just really quickly speak to us tonight and tell us how it's going. So I'm really excited because I haven't heard from them yet about how it's been.
Let's hope they all say it's good.
Yeah, whoops. No, but these people started where you are now. They started filling in the form and joining with a Zoom call. And now we're going to find out how they are now. So over to Sakina. Hi, Sakina.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Hey, you're very quiet.
Am I? Let me see what.
Oh no, that's better.
No, you're good. You're good. And my sound is very quiet.
Cool. How you guys doing?
Should I
I
put
should
my
take that as well.
pardon?
I was saying, how's everyone doing?
Yeah, we're great. Sorry, my computer sound is not doing well.
Everyone else is
we're
on
doing
mute,
brilliantly.
So
Yeah, we're really good. How are you?
I'm a little bit knackered, but I'm feeling really excited and enthusiastic about the potential for Labour legends.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Fill me in, because I want to hear how your placement's going or where you're at, what's going on.
Yeah, well, I guess I feel like this is, as we all know, the election of our lifetime, right? So I thought, the hell with it, I'm going to take a week off annual leave and I'm going to travel somewhere that's a marginal and maybe has less support, because I think London's got a lot of support, but our troops aren't distributed outside of there as much as we'd like. So I think Labour Legends is an amazing initiative to do that. And so I got placed in Stoke. Anyone who wants to come and join me in Stoke, please do. Basically, I'm going to be in Stoke from next Monday to next Saturday. But I actually just did a quick 24-hour trip into Stoke because Jeremy was visiting this today. And actually what I'd say is if you're going to any of your placements, if there are big events like big unseat events with Owen or Jeremy's popping by, those are actually really important, crucial moments to go, even if you're just there for the evening and then traveling back home before your longer stint, because actually it was really, really crucial for data collection. I went up last night and we had a little tour with Jeremy, but what was really crucial was before Jeremy and the candidate spoke, Mark McDonnell, just to let you know, Stoke South is a 650 marginal. I got up and did this thing that I've nicked of the brilliant Beth Foster Org. I've definitely said her surname wrong, haven't I? Where she says, after the speakers, although I did it before the speakers because I didn't want to lose people because they tend to try and, obviously have selfies with Jeremy. I basically stand at the front, and you might want to get a work phone for this. I use my personal phone for this. And I said, after getting them a little bit riled up, text me if you're up for helping, because what we have a shortage of in Stoke is canvassers and activists. And so I said, text me, I can help with your name. And I read out my number, and there and then 40 people text me. So from that, we're going to make a WhatsApp group. We're going to make it a closed WhatsApp group so that we can send daily reminders of events. And then afterwards, I stuck around and I chatted to some folk, especially some of the younger folk, because they have a lack of young activists. So the young activists tend to bring in more young activists. And just from conversations, we decided to have a tea and cake event next week. So it's set up for when I go to Stoke next week. Because one thing I'd say as well is you're there to door knock, you're there to help win. But the best part of keeping activists who are local engaged and growing the activist base is also creating spaces where they can socialise. So we're having a tea and cake for an hour before we go out and canvass, in the hope that some of the people who are coming might feel more invested to take on more of the leadership or more of the activist role once the Labour Legends leave. So I think when you're there, also have one mind on building. I think also it's important to say I felt very grateful for the hospitality just in the 24 hours that I've been there. I'm going up for the next week, but I guess what I wanted to try and make sure I was really conscious of is being really grateful for the hospitality and for the activists who are already there welcoming me. Obviously not wanting to kind of have any kind of like saviour complex. We're all in the movement together. No one's really doing anyone a favour. We're building for a Labour government. So kind of being there with the humility of the fact that there's an activist there who've been doing it for years maybe, and sometimes you coming in is a burst of energy, but it's no discredit to the work that they've been doing. So I think make the effort to learn the local organisers' names, ask them about themselves. They'll probably have snippets of information or really interesting context of the CLP. I think, yeah, like, I think don't be afraid to also get stuck in and take initiative. Like, I know in a lot of places they need boots on the ground, but if you're someone who feels like actually you've got really good organizing, like oversight organizing structure, feel empowered to also offer that. Like I said, that the activists in Stoke have been really welcoming, and actually, because there's a smaller pool of activists there and they've been doing so much for a long time, I think they were up for having maybe me come in and kind of do a kind of broader oversight. So thinking about the longer term infrastructure over the next 3 weeks, because it's going to feel like 3 months in some places, I think. And also, it's never too early to start election day planning, making sure you've got people who can take people to lifts and get people out on the door, getting people lifts to polling stations. But just in terms of how I found it, I think it's amazing. I think it's really, really important for the long term. Obviously, we're going to win on the 12th of December, and obviously for the win, it's incredibly important. But for the long-term health and for the long-term prosperity of our movement, I think the more our activists have sort of experience and of organising in different contexts, the more long-term we will win. I mean, Stoke is a 70% leave CLP that has been, that phrase left behind, because the poverty is so potent in the air. But what do we have to do long term to build the labour infrastructure back into those communities? So when you're there, I think also have one mind on the election on the 12th of December, but also think about the fact that we're also there as Momentum activists in particular, because I think we have a different style of politics that goes beyond just knocking on the doors at election time, but is one that actually wants to build relationships in those communities and reinvest back in that space for the much longer term. So it's been phenomenal already, and I think that our movement is only going to grow when we get to know each other across the UK. Activists are so inspiring. I'm always so humbled when I meet people who dedicate hours of their week to winning a Labour government. And I think you learn something from everyone you speak to. So I'm so excited to be on a call with lots of Labour legends who are up for doing exactly that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sakina. So great to hear from you. It's absolutely brilliant, like, that people are who are confident and happy canvassing in one place. And obviously, like, there are marginals that you could reach from London where you live, who are saying, actually, like, I know that I'm living in a big city, because often it is the big cities who do have lots of support, and actually, like, there is lots of mobilisation here already, and so I'm happy to go and travel somewhere where there just isn't that same culture mobilisation yet, and we just do need so many people who are prepared to do that from whatever areas it is across the country where there is already really high mobilisation, to travel out into areas that really need their support. So amazing. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and thanks so much for joining us on the call. Absolutely great to speak to you. I think we do also have another couple on. We've got Kevin. Has Kevin been unmuted? Because Kevin was also going to give us a quick update.
We've had a couple of people ask about what you do if you can't take time off work, you can't leave, you can't be a road trip legend. Do not worry. You can still be a Labour legend. We're still looking for online legends who can moderate, Slack, coordinate volunteers, and do a whole load of distributed work. So do not worry. And I think there's more information about that in those links.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. There's so many different ways to get involved. So whichever sort of, like, if you've already said that you want an online placement, you'll hear from us. If you want a local placement, then you should be just good to get started. And if you want a specific placement from us in a marginal CLP to canvass and campaign, then fill in the form and we'll link you up. And you can combine. Loads of people do online teams in the week because their schedule means they can't canvass during the week, and then at the weekends they go out canvassing. So you can do whatever works for you. But the closer we get to polling day, the more it's about that person-to-person contact. So it is really about dialogue and canvassing are the two sort of, like, key priorities. Anyway, I think Kevin's on the call. I think Kevin's unmuted. So
Hi.
Kevin,
Hi. Can you see us?
I'm going to...
Can you hear us? Can
And
you see us?
Spotlight. Yeah, we can hear you, but I want to. Oh, you don't have video on. I've just asked you to start video. If on the bottom left of your corner of your screen you click start video, that should work. It would be nice to have your video. There we go. I think. Oh, amazing! Hi.
We've got double act, Kevin and my wife Jane. We've
Nice.
Hey, double trouble.
Woo, brilliant.
we've gone down from Britain. We moved from Scotland to Bristol 3 weeks ago. Pitched up in a constituency with a 30,000 majority, so we're now down in Cornwall.
I'm Cornish.
In
Amazing.
Truro of Falmouth, 4,000 majority. We're going to take it off the bastards.
Fantastic. Yes.
Particular, we thought would be. I mean, by the way, Sakina, brilliant what you just said. I mean, that was a textbook, I think, for every legend,
Yeah.
wherever you
Brilliant,
are.
Sakina. Well
You
done.
know, in terms of knitting into the local team, at the same time adding something to it. I think we've all got different levels of experience. You might be able to tell I've been around the block a few times.
And me.
Probably both of us joined the Labour Party before many others listening were even walking the planet, but there we go. This election to me feels most like the 1980s. It's incredible on the street, the mood amongst young people. And that means it's all there for us to gain and to take. The kind of things we've been looking at down in Cornwall is, as well as the canvassing has got to be done, you know, every pair of hands is needed all the time. How can we be an extra resource for the constituency? Something, you know, do the canvassing, do the graft, but over and beyond that, how can we add something? And we've been looking at organising village meetings in the smaller communities. In a city, that could be estate meetings as well.
These would be public meetings for people to hear the candidate.
One of the beauties,
Brilliant, Jennifer Forbes, amazing woman.
one of the beauties of social media now, of course, is that we can organise things like this on the fly. You don't have to have thousands of leaflets. You've got a handful of activists. They can put the word out amongst everybody they know, a couple of community organisers, get a meeting of 20 or 30 people in a village or in a council estate, and the word goes out. Getting people together is an important part of this election. I think we've seen it in Cornwall. We went to a fantastic event in Penryn, town of 5,000 people. About 80 people from the council estates came along, participated, went out canvassing, had lunch together, communal meal, which is great, brings people together. And I think this election, a lot of it is about bringing people together in the campaign, making it good fun, working with the local party to help facilitate that, but also showing the people who participate in those events how we can move forward as a movement and as a society as well. I think we've seen a bit of that. And I feel at the moment, with any other legends out there, give what time you can. We're lucky, we're semi-retired. We've given 2.5 weeks now till polling day. But I think we're at a decisive point. The leaders' debate, Jeremy clearly won. Then the manifesto has really hit home. This is about building a new society. And then seeing scenes tonight in Sheffield, the thousands on the streets. They weren't there to praise Johnson or Swinson. They were there to support Jeremy Corbyn and Labour. So I think we're now at a turning point in the campaign, you know, ignoring the lies of the opinion polls and all that stuff. Our input can be decisive or critical in supporting the activists on the ground at whatever level of experience you've got, as an extra pair of hands, but also as being a lever to build the capacity. And everyone, you spend a few days in a constituency, even if it's your first campaign, within 2 or 3 days, you'll find you're able to learn things and pass that on and build the team. Because that's the most important. Are we building a team? As Sakina said, what are we leaving behind for the future as well? And that's the future of building a mass Labour Party rooted in socialist policies, which us legends will be a critical part of.
Okay,
Amazing.
and I'd like to add something. We've just been up for the last few days on Granny and Grandad duties up in Sheffield. And on the way there on the train, on a cross-country train, I went up and down the train, speaking to every young person, saying, have you registered to vote? And all of them, bar one, said they had, which is really good news. All of them said thank you. Many of them engaged in conversation, clear that they were Labour voters. When I was up in Sheffield, again, I spoke to people. I stood up on a bus and made a speech, which is a bit weird, but hey, I thought, God, just sometimes you've got to do things because it's that important. It's not about our egos. It's about future society. And we've got to put any sort of nerves to one side and remember why we're doing this is because we need change. And on that bus, I said to everybody, right, you've got to make sure you're registered. You've got to vote Labour to change society. And also going up and down the high street in Sheffield. I've had loads of barbershop these days. I think it's because of all these guys with beards. Anyway, I went into every barbershop and spoke to the barbers and said, please, can you make sure that your the guys you have come in, can you make sure that they are registered to vote? And one of them said, yeah, I'll do that, but I want to make sure that they're voting for Corbyn. I said, yeah. Great. So even when you think you're not on duty, make every opportunity to speak to people, the person on the bus next to you. I mean, it's easy because I've got grey hair and I used to be a teacher, so I'm quite sort of...
I used to be a teacher.
I'm quite ballsy about speaking to strangers because I think, okay, if you think I'm a bit of a nit, so be it, because I've got a message that's really important and because we all need to change things. So yeah, you just got to go for it and connect with people because even, you know, I took my little granddaughter to the soft play area and I was talking to this guy who also had his daughter in there and he turned out to be not a Labour voter, but I engaged in a sort of meaningful discussion with him, which is good. You know, you've got to do that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been so inspirational to hear from both of you and from Sakina. Just feel so lucky to have so many wonderful people on this program. It really is super exciting.
Can I also say you two are the absolute cutest? If you want to be as cute as these two, please
Hey. They didn't call me cute in the 1980s when they tried to expel me for being a socialist.
Yeah.
I held on to my party card for 30 years. I'm so glad I did because now our time is coming.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
Totally.
So Sasha says it's cute, then
you're
definitely
definitely
cute.
cute.
So yeah, amazing.
It's giving me so much life.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so totally true. And I actually just wanted to pick up on one specific thing that Kevin said, which is about experience, because honestly, like everyone brings something. If you're really experienced, then you'll have, you know, there'll be some things that you're really good at because there are parts of campaigning and canvassing which do get better with time. Things like knowing how to run a board is really useful, although if you do the training, then that will be totally fine. But also, like, I genuinely think the best activists are often the people who are newest to the movement, because you've got all that energy that's been building up over those years where you've been sitting on the sidelines and getting frustrated with what's happening but not really been involved before. And like, definitely, I don't know, I think sometimes the newest canvassers they just bring real new energy to it. And also, like, when you've been involved in the movement for a while, then you know so much detail about all of it. But actually, when you're speaking to voters, what they want to speak to is they want to speak to a normal human being that they can relate to. They don't really want to necessarily speak to somebody who's like read every single, what sentence in the manifesto and memorized it. They want to speak to a normal human being who they can have a conversation with. So don't worry at all if you're not super experienced. It will definitely, you'll be amazing. And if you are nervous, then, this is a really, really brave thing to do, but go for it and you won't regret it. I first went canvassing like probably around this time in the 2017 election. And I literally met like some people on my first day canvassing who are now like my closest friends. You'll meet like wonderful people and you'll have a really, really fantastic time. So definitely, if you're feeling nervous, a bit less experienced, do not worry. So yeah, amazing. I also wanted to pick up on something else, which speaking to those guys remind me, which is you can do a group application. So if you're already thinking like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to book that last week off, and I'm even up for traveling down to Cornwall or up to Scotland or whatever else is needed, like, why not get a friend or two to come along with you? We've had one group of 8 and they're like, well, there's 8 of us. It's actually going to be really, really cheap for us to get an Airbnb.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
You can do it. If anyone's interested in a group application, then 100% go for it. Does anyone have any more questions? We're just waiting for an update on John McDonnell. Do we have an update?
This is where I'm gonna
No update.
love you and leave
You have to rush
all
off
because, as I mentioned, I have the dates. Wish me that.
Okay.
Don't worry, he's a socialist.
Amazing.
See you all. It's so nice to be able to be a part of this. Thank you all so much. I'll leave you with Chloe. It's been a long week.
There's two
I'm
Chloes
really
who are working on
sleep
Mental at the moment
deprived.
and also Holly. So it's
Bye.
really confusing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us.
Not at all, not at all.
Yeah. So what I thought is I'm going to just try and check in again on this update with John McDonnell, who was supposed to be joining us this evening. What happens is I work for the campaigns team and there's also the comms team. And the comms team are the ones who do all the flashy stuff with the celebrities. The campaigns teams are the one who do all the like really important work on the ground. And I'm waiting to hear back from our comms team what's happened. There might have been like a slight somewhere along the way. Yeah, somewhere along the way there seems to have been some sort of like miscommunication. So it is possible that that John won't be joining us. I'm hoping to know in the next minute or so. But in the meantime, could we please have some questions? And if he doesn't make it, I'm really, really sorry and huge apologies. And I guess we'll just have to get him on another Labour Legend call soon. But that will be really disappointing because we told you all who's good on this call. So I'm really, 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 really sorry about that. But let's see, just in case. We'll have a full update in a minute or so. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions? Because this is actually quite a good opportunity. I'm here, I'm on the call. I probably am one of the best people to answer your questions. Like if you have any questions about your placement, what that would look like, what that would involve, please do ask them in the chat box because it would be a really good chance for me to be able to answer them basically. Let me know if you have any. Have there been any questions that have? So Deborah says she's happy to travel and you're happy to travel and give your time to an area that needs you. That's absolutely brilliant. Have all of you filled in so Deborah, you need to make sure that you fill in the second form, so the placement form. If you haven't already, if you filled it in, then we should be able to give you a call very soon. Okay, Deborah's seen dark and light red on my campaign map. Okay, brilliant. There's loads of really good questions. So I'm going to ask Barney to read the questions and make a proper note. What I am going to do is I'm going to just really quickly show you my campaign map because I am actually not sure about this between light and dark. I think I'll be able to check it out. Yeah, so red is I'm sure red is the areas which really need people. Does that make sense to you, Barney?
Dark red.
Dark red are the areas. I'm afraid I'm looking in London because London. So in London, this looks right. Yeah, these dark red ones are the ones that like really do need help and support. We need to all head to Wales. But actually, the rural constituencies look so much bigger because. Well, they are so much bigger, which can make them look like they're more important. But just be aware that actually a really small constituency like Kingswood in Bristol or near Bristol is actually just as important as one of these ginormous constituencies in sort of, more rural area. So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, definitely all use my campaign map. Be really, really helpful. And I've now lost the chat box, but Barney, do you want to tell me any of the other questions?
Yeah, Anthony and Julie's questions might be able to go together. Anthony asks, what's the best way to contribute for those unable to secure time off or students with exams? And Julie asks, can you explain a bit more about online legends?
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, so the best way to I need to stop the share. That's what was I sharing again?
Oh.
Hopefully nothing too was it the Zoom meeting? Anyway, sorry about that. So if you can't take time off, then you can't take time off. At the moment I work for Momentum. Previously I was a teacher. You can't take time off as a teacher. You just can't. So if I was teaching right now, I was teaching in North Battersea, what I would be doing is I would be campaigning every evening after work in Battersea, and then at the weekends I would probably be going to Milton Keynes North or Shoreham and East Worthing, because they're two marginals which are really high priority and where mobilisation is a bit lower than in London. So that's probably what I would be doing with that job. It depends basically. The thing to do is to fit in what you can around your schedule, and your priority should be, your number one priority should be going door knocking and having face-to-face conversations with voters, as well as your family and things like that. Taking your Labour mug into work, or anything like that happens. You know, anything that happens where in real life you're showing people and you're talking to people about voting Labour, but particularly door knocking, going out canvassing, knocking on doors, running flyering sessions, things like that, out on the streets, talking to people about voting Labour. Number 1 priority. Number 2 priority is talking to people about Labour on the phone. So for this, we use Dialogue, which is the Labour Party phone banking app, and you can call up voters, you can speak to them about who they're planning on voting for. Also really helpful, and it helps with door knocking because it helps us to identify, speak to more people, we can see who's going to vote Labour, so we know who to remind about the election on polling day. So super, super important is to have person-to-person conversations on the phone. The final thing, so if you're a road trip legend or you're a local legend, you're mostly going to be canvassing, but you might also, if you live really far away from a marginal, then you might also like be calling into marginals and Dialogue. That's also really important. So canvassing here, Dialogue here, super, super important. Now, there are also other things that you might be doing that are really helpful. Obviously, right now, I'm not out speaking to voters. I'm here speaking to you because actually mobilising other people is really important. So maybe, you know, if you can't go canvassing loads, you can still be setting up a Let's Go WhatsApp group and encouraging your friends to go. There are also our online teams have some projects. So mostly now that we've got 3 weeks to go, our online teams are going to be using Dialogue to have virtual phone banks and to all be calling into marginals. But we have lots of online volunteers on Slack, like over 2,000. And so the online Labour legends will also really, like, if at all possible, be able to help play a role managing those volunteers online. We do also have a few project teams online that do things like research and support our press team, do things like video clipping, which support our videos team. So there's a few other projects on there. And, you know, if you've got really strong coding skills or have worked as an investigative journalist or something like that, it's possible, if you're an online volunteer, that we would ask you to help with something a bit more specific online. But that's kind of like a tiny percentage of volunteers. The vast majority of people are, sorry, I'm just a little bit confused by one of the comments, but that's fine. The vast majority of people are going to be door knocking and doing voter reg. I'm really sorry, by the way. I've just heard that there was a miscommunication with John's team, and he isn't going to be able to join us. I'm really sorry about that. I'm really disappointed as well, and I definitely wasn't John personally, who was really excited about speaking with you on the call. I think it's just like a diary booking. Not sure how it's happened, but this is a really amazing program. It's been really nice to hear from some legends live, and like read your emails. We send loads of important information and advice via email to Labour legends, so check those out, read those. And yeah, like basically just like stay in touch, and hopefully we will get loads of you out canvassing. This weekend, if you don't have a plan, like literally right now, get on my campaign map, find your nearest marginal, head down. If you've never canvassed before, get a friend who's also never canvassed before, but who also, you know, I sent a message to some of my friends yesterday to be like, look, I don't want to wake up on the 30th of December to 5 years of Tory rule under Boris Johnson, like who's free this weekend, let's go canvassing. So, you know, get some friends together, go out canvassing, go on your own. I turned up on my own for the first time. It's kind of really good because it forced me to make friends. Head out canvassing, and just like keep your eyes peeled for emails from us with more information on the next week. And if you are up for like a real, like serious, you know, 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, there's only like 20 days left now, day placement in a marginal, working full time on the campaign, then fill in the placement form as soon as possible, and we will get back to you. So yeah, thank you so much everybody for your time. You guys are literally such an inspiration. I'm so you know, excited to be working with all of you. And sorry again about the John making it on. I hope you aren't too disappointed. And yeah, thank you, and keep it up. Like as Kevin said, it feels like we're at a turning point, and I think like having a Labour Legends sign up now could be like really exciting. Get your friends signed up too. See if anyone can be persuaded to a group placement. That'd be absolutely brilliant. It means you'd have a friend to go with, and it's actually basically just as easy for us to place like 3 of you. There's 2 of you, you can actually just do the placement all together, as long as you have the same details for like where you're happy to go and when you're available, roughly the same for when you're available. So yeah, amazing. Thanks guys. Really, really, really lovely to speak to you all. Have a lovely weekend. Happy canvassing, and see you all soon. Okay, amazing. Deborah, you're going to tell everyone you know and ask them to say, that's brilliant. If everyone on this call does that, we'll have hundreds of people sign up. So yeah, great stuff, everyone. Really good night. So great to talk to you. Thanks again. Bye.